to New Columbia Mastersingers' second concert of the 2024-25 season, a program that we're calling Teachings of the Water. My name is Justin Raff. It's been my privilege to serve as the artistic director of this organization since 2008, but who's counting? We're so pleased to be here in this beautiful acoustic, aesthetic facility that is St. Paul's Sanctuary. And hopefully you're not just here to pick your favorite pew and find that perfect VIP seat, but that it has been my tradition now for several years to speak a few minutes before the program in a kind of unofficial pre-concert talk that I like to call Behind the Music, where I'll give you a little bit of context around what you're going to hear this evening, with the understanding that even for trained musicians like myself, it can be difficult to engage with brand new material that we've never heard before. So I hope I can kind of walk you through some of the oral experience that you'll have. I think it's safe to venture that many of you probably have not heard a number of the pieces that we're performing in the program tonight, perhaps with the exception of the excerpts from The Greatest Showman, which I'll talk about a little bit later, just to kind of balance out some of the material that we're going to hear in the program. So, for good or ill, here are my thoughts, and I encourage you, all of the texts and the translations of the non-English languages we're singing in are provided for you in the printed program, and I have also put together some additional written program notes. None of this is my own writing. This is by the creators themselves of those particular pieces of music. So if you are interested in more of the historical context or the philosophy behind some of the pieces that we're performing, that, of course, is available to you in the program. Let's start here, back when I was in 5th grade. And my teacher, Mrs. Childs, had us read a book called The Indian in the Cupboard. And I absolutely loved this book as a child. And I had a lot of compassion for the protagonists, for the tribal members that had faced a lot of hardship and oppression. And there were multiple books that came out in the series over time, and I just ate them up. I just absolutely loved them. And when we got to a segment in our social studies about some American history and some of the issues around tribes, which I was very new to, Mrs. Childs made a point to say to us, we will never refer to these people as Indians because they are not from India. We will call them Native Americans. And that has stuck with me since 5th grade. And we would slip because that was certainly common parlance when I was in 5th grade in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. But Mrs. Childs insisted, and she would correct us. These are Native Americans. These are people who are native to this land. And that has just, that one of those memories as a child that's just stayed with me. When I moved here in 2008, I was not particularly knowledgeable about tribal community here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm an East Coast transplant. I grew up talking about different tribal communities, the Iroquois in particular. And I learned some of the history, not just of the Pacific Northwest. I knew a little bit about Lewis and Clark and their adventures here. Learned more about Sacagawea. Learned more about the history of the Hanford site and the indigenous communities that were living on the land. And the federal government showed up and said, I'm so sorry, we need you to leave. Here's a little bit of money for your drugs. It's a very long and complex history when we think about Native and indigenous communities in the United States. And I'm certainly not prepared to go down that complex route with you tonight. That's a whole series of exploration in itself. But these are things that I think about often. And my role as a musician is to help educate and to help introduce people to different musical styles from cultural groups, ethnicities, different geographic regions. Most of the music that we do as a choral organization comes out of what I call the Western classical canon. And we always use easy examples like Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and such. But music has existed since the beginning of humankind. And every culture, every ethnicity, every group of people has always had music connected to them in some way. And native and indigenous communities have been making music for a long time. They didn't necessarily write it down. Much of this is oral tradition. It's passed down through listening, that you grew up as a kid and you hear a lot of these same pieces in ceremonies and celebrations, and so you learn to absorb music. A lot of it is just taught by rote, taught through repetition, just taught by listening. This idea of handing out printed sheet music is a phenomenon that came much later in the course of human history. So not a lot of this material has been written down that is easily replicated if you are not from these tribal communities. And I am sensitive that when we're doing material kind of outside of the American oeuvre, that we are using material from original sources that is authentic, that is true, not just someone's attempt to synthesize this through their own American lens. And that, my friends, is hard to find. There's just not a lot of this kind of authentic choral music that's out there written by native and indigenous composers. So I have been thinking about wanting to explore this for a while, and it's taken a long time to get out there and find where that material exists. Where are those authentic sources? But thanks to technology in the 21st century, there are now certain databases that are out there, and some of these composers are becoming more public, that they are eager to share this music outside of their own communities. So I've selected several pieces on the program from native indigenous composers who are all alive and well, and are just delighted that groups like ours are taking interest in this material and looking to replicate it. So let me talk a little bit about what it is that you're going to hear in the program. The first piece that we do, Prayer of Black Elk. Did any of you read Black Elk Speaks when you were in college, perhaps, right? As part of curriculum in academia for some time. And the figure of Black Elk that comes from the Lakota Nation, they no longer really refer to them as the Sioux Nation. There's kind of some bad holdovers from that terminology that they no longer use. This is the Lakota Nation. And I kind of knew of this figure of Black Elk and his presence in some very prominent battles and things that a lot of us learn in our history classes. But he was interviewed towards the end of his life, and a lot of his philosophies, which were influenced by Christianity. He did convert to Christianity in his 40s, but he was always very true to his people and where he came from. So my friend Karen Thomas, very celebrated composer that lives in the Seattle area, she wrote a setting of one of the excerpts of his. It's in the English translation, which I think is a really powerful text and the right way that I want to open the program. A very declamatory statement that the choir will sing with full piano accompaniment. Hear me, 4 quarters of the world, a relative I am. And Karen wrote this back in 1999. It was a commission through her church. She was a part of the Seattle University, the Unitarian Church in Seattle for many years was a position that she held. And this was a commissioned project that she did back in 1999. This piece has gotten a lot of performances in our industry, especially in the Northwest. And I have seen this piece performed at a lot of similar programs that look to celebrate and honor the contributions and the mere existence of tribal and native communities, not just in the region, but around the country. So although Karen herself is not an indigenous composer, she is writing in the vein and the spirit of wanting to be supportive of that community, and those communities have been very accepting of this piece. I've seen a lot of performances of it over the years. By the way, it's Native American Heritage Month, the month of November, and I know that it seems like every month and every day there's some new assignment. Well, today's Cupcake Day, and today's there's all these kind of goofy things that have evolved over time. But Native American Heritage Month, it's important for us to kind of stop and think and reflect on the course of our relationships with those tribal communities, especially here in Washington State, especially in the Northwest, where many of those communities endured longer than, for me, growing up in the East Coast, where they were pushed out or conquered much sooner because of the history of the U.S. and everything kind of started there on the eastern seaboard, and it took some time for us to get out here to the west and to the Pacific Northwest. So we'll open with Karen's piece written in 1999, big, bold, assertive piece. And my wonderful accompanist, Stephanie, often reminds me that, she loves the a cappella repertoire, but she's like, hey, don't forget about me. I want to play some cool stuff too. So it's a really bombastic piece that will showcase the skills of our wonderful accompanist. Then throughout the program, there are 3 inserts from a motion picture, The Greatest Showman, that came out a few years ago. One of the primary reasons that I programmed that was from a pragmatic perspective. At our annual Mid-Columbia Arts Fundraising Gala, which is a fundraiser that supports not just us, but our partners, Mid-Columbia Ballet, Mid-Columbia Symphony, Mid-Columbia Musical Theater. Every once in a while, I throw out a live auction item just to see if it'll take. And it allows the winner to select music that the choir will sing at some concert on the next season. And so my dear friend, Kathy Kelly, who is a very generous philanthropist here for the arts in our community, she won the bid, and she pulled me aside that night and said, I already know what I want you to sing. So I spoke with Kathy, and this is partly her desire to hear some of these excerpts. And I also thought, since we're doing a lot of new music, it's nice to also include things that are familiar, to kind of allow your oral palate to reset. We as human beings just kind of instinctively gravitate towards what it is that we know, and might be a little more reticent to engage with things that we don't know. It's just a basic kind of safety mechanism of being human. So I've spaced them out throughout the program to give you a little bit of familiarity. They are written in kind of a traditional American Broadway pop style. They're very lovely, very easy to listen to. But I also love the universality of the lyrics of the 3 songs and how those stand next to the indigenous pieces that we're doing. And again, all of the lyric that we're singing tonight is provided for you in the program. So hence the use of those 3 choruses from The Greatest Showman. I hope some of you might be familiar with this. I'm sure some of our younger audience in particular, they were really excited when that movie came out. Lots of big hits that came from that, including This Is Me, is probably arguably the big hit song from that show, and we will be performing that for you this evening. The centerpiece of the concert, from which I have taken the title of the program, Teachings of the Water, is a tremendous composition that was years in the making by a number of different collaborators. My colleague, Morna Edmondson, is the director of an incredible, internationally award-winning treble choir up in BC in Canada called Electra. And Electra does a lot of commission works. They are adding to the body of treble choir repertoire. That's been a really important mission for them, is that they're helping to write new things for treble choirs to perform. And the body of music for treble choirs is not as vast as that for mixed choirs. You know, SATV choirs have had a longer run. The idea of treble choirs is a little newer in terms of the history of voicings of ensembles. And so they commissioned this really magnificent piece. I've been eyeing it for a while. It's divided into 5 movements. It's only about 18 minutes long, and it's all a cappella. So it is demonstrating the abilities of the original instrument, the human voice. And I want to play for you a couple excerpts, just so you have a sense of what it is that you're going to see. The composer, Patrick, is from the Métis Nation in Canada, but he's writing within the more contemporary choral genre. So the music that you hear from Patrick's piece, The Teachings of the Water, is not original sourced material that he is arranging. The composition is all brand new. It is all his own music. But there is a lot of inspiration behind the language and the Squamish nation in particular that he was closely associated with when he was writing the piece. So the first movement, The Natural World, you're going to hear Rita Brown sing a little solo. It's kind of like a call and response, and it just outlines that this C minor triadic melody. You're going to hear the choir sing this, and then they repeat it, and then it goes into the 5th. This is kind of stark opening harmonic language that we're accustomed to, just built on a C minor triad. And then the harmonic language is going to expand as we think about what the lyric is that we're singing about, how all things are connected, which is a very significant thing to think about. All things are connected. How does a composer set that music? It's a very expansive harmonic language that you will experience. But it really lives within the world of tonal music that we're accustomed to. We're not going to throw Schoenberg-style atonal serialism in. We're generally living in, and some of you just said thank you, you're welcome. There will be another day for that, because that music also has some importance for us. But you will hear generally a lot of major and minor modalities. Major chords, minor chords, things that we're accustomed to hear. Maybe the way that they're sequenced is not how you would expect them to be, but the harmonic structure is something that we're pretty familiar with. In the second movement, you're going to hear the choir in this kind of F minor modality. And they're just going to throw this pitch around for a while, and then they're going to start a syncopated pattern. And then they're going to take turns singing this little F minor tune. And you hear this melodic statement kind of move throughout the choir. Again, it's accessible music in terms of what it is that you are hearing. It's harmonic language that you'll recognize. But just listen for that particular tune. It's the melodic material of that second movement. In the third movement, the choir sings a lot in unison on this one. And they sing this kind of trance-like ostinato, this repeated pattern. Simple melodic construction. So listen for that tune that they sing. In this particular movement, the third movement called Ceremony, the composer invites us to share poetry or stories that are more regional, that are more specific to your community and the area that the piece is being performed. So this was premiered up in British Columbia, in Canada. And so I have selected 2 poems that we're going to share with you in the middle of this piece from Rena Priest. Rena is the immediate past poet laureate of Washington State. She was the first Indigenous poet to hold that title in our state. So I've selected 2 kind of contrasting poems of Rena's that we will share with you. So listen for that. It's kind of inserted. The choir takes a break from singing and just speaks the word, kind of keeps this ritual trance-like feeling underneath the poetry that's shared. The fourth movement is the most harmonically complex. The choir has worked very hard to be successful in this one. Of course, anytime we sing a cappella, like, you really got to know it. We can't hide, there's no piano support that's there to help us. And the lyric is very simple. I mean, the English translation of the title is song. And it's just the idea of how songs spin out and the affect that songs have on our families, on our communities. You know, I think about the music that I grew up listening to as a child and how that had a big impact on me and how my exposure to music ultimately led me to a career in music. But it all started with the experience of my community, like the stuff that my mom and dad would play at home, just the kind of music, the music that I heard at church, the music that we were singing in schools. You know, all of that has an impact on us. And it's different. It's different depending on where you grew up, what community you were a part of, what tradition you come from. And so this is trying to capture the significance of song and how universal that is for all of us. That music is indeed a language that we all share in some ways. How music is important in the way that it's used in our communities, in our traditions, in our celebrations, in birth and death, in good times and bad, music is there. And the last movement, called identity, there are references to ripples, and in the composer's effect to create a ripple, he starts with a single note, and then it branches out from there and creates chord clusters. And it's as though he's trying to show, you know, when a ripple in water starts, there's the centerpiece, and then everything echoes out from there. Everything expands from the center. And so he tries to do that musically. So you hear the choir sing one note, then you hear them sing that, and both notes on either side of it. And then they'll continue to expand outside of that. It's his attempt to create this image of a ripple. It starts in the middle and then just reflects out. So to me, it's what I would call chord clusters. That our ear recognizes, right? Nothing particularly jarring about it, just kind of lots of notes stacked in that make cool sounds. And then this going back and forth between tension and release, between a cadence into a chord structure that we recognize, but then maybe not doing it right away, just to hold the tension a little more. So if you're a little anxious about, Justin programs this new music, what's it going to sound like? I think that you will enjoy it. I think it's very accessible, it's very easy to listen to. And the lyrics themselves, the choir was a little nervous when we started on music because we're singing in the Squamish language, and none of us have experience with that. But the creators of the piece provided a lot of resources. And the lyric that we sing is actually pretty small. Each movement has maybe 2, 3, 4 words maximum that are repeated. So there was not a lot of text that we had to deal with in terms of figuring out how to make those sounds. It's a really cool piece. We're very excited to share it with you. I do not believe it's, I won't go so far to say that it hasn't been performed in the US yet. I don't think it's been performed in Washington State. So this is potentially a Washington State premiere of Patrick's piece. And we'll do a little more of the Greatest Showman, just to kind of reset you and bring you back and give you a palate cleanse. And then the last 2 pieces we're doing by Indigenous composers. The one is called Sleepy Song, and this is by Cheryl, who's from the Cree Nation. This is also original material, although it will sound like it is originally sourced. But she wrote this tune herself. The melody to Sleepy Song. Very simple. probably teach that to you, and in 5 minutes you'd be able to sing that back to me. And this is a lullaby. And lullabies are designed to be kind of simple in nature because we're trying to put the baby to sleep. Right? It needs to be easy, soothing, soft, delicate. It's a really lovely piece. And the lyric is very simple. And I put that towards the end of the program, right, to kind of do lullabies at the end before we send you off on your evening as you prepare for bed. The very last piece we're doing on the program who's from the Lakota Nation, making that connection back to Black Elk, where we started the program. This is an original melody. This is traditional material that he has arranged. He's added a lovely piano accompaniment part, but this is the tune that you'll hear the choir sing on the very last piece. The English translation is My Kind-Hearted Boy. Just another easy lullaby to kind of help us relax into the end of this program. It will be less than an hour. I don't think people really like long concerts anymore. I think a lot of our habits changed coming out of the pandemic. Mine for sure. I've had a lot of time to kind of reflect and reevaluate. So we won't hold you here for 2.5 hours. This is not a Wagnerian opera. But we will introduce you to some new pieces and some new composers. I hope that you enjoy those sounds and appreciate that many of you, all of these indigenous composers, write to honor their people, their community. It's so personal to them. And for many of them, it's taken a long time to even venture out, even wanting to share this and make it more public outside of their own communities, considering the very vast and complex history that our tribal sisters and brothers have faced for many centuries in this country. So this is our nod as we help to celebrate and honor Native American Heritage Month. I hope that you enjoy the program. We will perform it without intermission. Feel free to applaud or not when you feel so moved. I don't want to micromanage your experience as audience. And I see that my friend Kathy walked in. Kathy, I said something a little earlier, but again, I want to thank, that's Kathy Kelly in the back, who's been a very generous philanthropist for our arts community, who won the bid back at the Mid-Columbia Arts fundraiser. I worked with Kathy to select the music, and we are delighted to present the 3 excerpts from The Greatest Showman that I've interspersed throughout the program. Kathy, thank you so much for your support, not just of our organization, but of the whole art scene in this community. It might get a little chilly in here. I'm going to go turn the blower off because it's really noisy when we're singing soft and a cappella. So if 30 minutes through you're like, gosh, it feels kind of chilly in here, sorry, I turned the heat off. But it looks like many of you have jackets and things, so I hope that you'll be comfortable. But it will be a better auditory experience for you, I promise. Oh, great. Thank you. And I see that the choir's ready, so I'll invite the choir on and we'll get started with the program. Please enjoy. See, it makes a big difference.
country deepest too. I've heard an elder say that we must be like a willow, bend, not to break. I have made peace this way. My neighbors clear-cut their trees, leaving mine defenseless. The arborist says they'll follow the first strong wind. Together we stand. I see this now. I've seen a tree growing around a bicycle, a street sign, and a chainsaw, absorbing them like ingredients in a great melting pot. When we speak, whether or not we agree, the trees will turn the breath of our words from carbon dioxide into air. Give us new breath for new words, new chances to listen, new chances to be heard. Shalom, 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 we pay on. Shalom, 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 shalom.
social and professional circles, post about it on Facebook, let people know. We want to share this music with others. This is the first venture for us to the programming work by Indigenous Native composers during this month of reflection, Native American Heritage Month. It's been a long time coming, but I'm really pleased with the whole thing. It's worth the effort that first time. In the future, we'll continue to learn from it and improve. So please let folks know. We'll do this one more time tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then in your program, you can see we have some other activities coming up for the rest of the calendar year. We're doing a fun gig out in Prosser on Wednesday called Sacred and Profane with our friends from Port Unum. If you're interested in joining us for that. And then we will perform with the Columbia Symphony in December for their big holiday pops program where you hear a lot of your season. Thank you all.